I feel my heart, skip a beat as you say that word. I know what you mean. Oh, we're speaking of things supernatural tonight, Long John, not matrimonial. Well, they got 5 of the bravest men from town to go out there and spend that very night. Now, these men were fully armed, thought they were ready for anything. But the next morning, they were little more than babbling fools. They would not speak of what transpired that night, but slowly, over the days, as the weeks passed, the story came out. And here's what they said occurred. Made their way there to the little wooden shack and not really expected anything to transpire. They passed the hours as men will do. Hold up that bottle you're holding. Yeah, they passed the bottle, one in amongst them, till they had quite the head going. And it was at that point they began to hear it. It were in the distance. Screams, yells, whoops and hollers like savage Indians coming closer. And they wondered what could this be. And 2 of the bravest men said, we'll investigate. They left the little wooden shack. The 3 remaining inside, peering outside the door. They watched those 2 men traverse not more than 20 yards when they were set upon from all sides by men. They had long hair. They had that painted faces, tomahawks, spears. And they grabbed those 2 men and dragged them screaming as children into the dark night. Well, the 3 remaining men, they lost all courage whatsoever. They shut and they locked the door. They huddled together on the floor, hugging one another, which was not very manly, if you ask me. Next morning they awoke, not knowing that they'd fallen into slumber. A surprise they were. No longer did they number 3, but once again numbered 5, for the 2 who'd been carried off into the night had been returned to them. But those 2 were not the same. Those 2 were insane and spent the rest of their days in the care of a nurse. But the 3 remaining men, they swore until their dying days that night they'd been set upon by a band of phantom warriors intent upon doing them harm. And of course, no one in town believed them. But shortly thereafter, they closed the old stone quarry pits. It has not been opened to this day. And the reason for that was the discovery in the sand, just a short distance from that little wooden shack, of an ancient Indian tomahawk. You see, it kind of changed their way of thinking there. Long John.
Sure.
I haven't seen a vessel tonight.
Hey, sir.
Well, how am I to test the mettle of the crew if we don't get into a little blood?